It is currently my intention to seek a speedy retrial in the case against Alex Murdaugh. People were murdered at the end of the day.
We still believe that the case should have been affirmed, but we recognize the court's reversal, and now we're going to go do it again. That's the plan.
This story is so big, we're going to do Investigation Nation twice today. And now first, Alex Murdaugh's double murder conviction overturned. South Carolina Supreme Court ruled the disgraced attorney did not receive a fair trial. The court found that the former court clerk, Becky Hill, improperly influenced jurors during the high-profile 2023 trial, raising new questions about whether Murdaugh should face another jury. And joining us now is someone who has been very involved, Eric Bland, the attorney who represented several victims connected to the Murdaugh financial crimes cases, and also including the family of Gloria Satterfield, the family's longtime housekeeper and nanny who died on their property. Eric, I know that you've talked to and represented a lot of other people as well. So let me just first welcome you to the program, because I always do want to talk to you when the subject comes up. So first, I just got to ask you, what do you think of the ruling? What would a new trial look like? What do you make of it?
Well, if you watch the oral arguments in February, you would not be shocked by the decision. The shock happened in February when they were very critical of the former Chief Justice Jean Toll and her decision not to grant a new trial. Also, they were highly critical of Judge Clifton Newman, who was the trial judge at the double murder case, for letting in too much of the financial crime cases. So what would a new trial look like? That's hard to say. We're going to have to pick a judge. We're going to have to figure out whether the venue is going to still be in Colleton County. We're going to have to determine before the trial how much of the financial crimes can come in, because the Supreme Court said in their opinion that they went too far and too deep with those financial crimes to prove motive. And finally, don't forget, Alex Murdaugh testified in that other trial. So if he doesn't testify in this trial, are they going to be able to use some of that testimony if he invokes his Fifth Amendment privilege? So a lot has to be determined before we're ever going to get to a trial. And I don't see it happening before the summer or fall of 2027.
Right. I've been hearing a lot of interviews from both the prosecution and defense on that, and it does seem like we're talking about fall of next year. And I do want to mention, I was in the Supreme Court courtroom when when the oral arguments were happening. It was absolutely packed, shoulder to shoulder. And I got to tell you, I mean, you know, if you were there too, I may have missed you, but you know, people walked out and everybody kind of looked at each other going, he's going to get a new trial. I mean, after it was all said and done, when we heard about, you know, just to remind everybody, if you could quickly, some of the things that the court clerk said to jurors, that jurors reported that she said to them, because she's supposed to be the Sherpa, right? She's supposed to be the person that they look to, you know, like, this is where you're going to go. But she's not supposed to interject her opinion, which is exactly what happened here.
Yeah, she's supposed to have a ministerial role, talk about when you're going to get lunch, what time court's going to begin and end. I represented 6 of the jurors who did not hear her say anything regarding substantive of Alex Murdaugh testifying or his guilt. In fact, they testified at the motion for a new trial hearing and said that their verdict was their own free will and by their own accord. And 5 other jurors said the same thing. Now, there were 3 jurors that said they did hear Becky speak, and the Supreme Court in their decision said she put her thumb on the scales of justice. The reason we have the greatest system in the world is it works for the worst of us, not just for the best of us. And Alex's Sixth Amendment right to a fair and impartial jury trial was affected.
Right. He's accused of gunning down his wife and his youngest son, Paul. And then, of course, you've got the victims' families. What does that do for the victims' families? Because it is, of course, you know, Buster and the other Murdaughs, but then you've got all the people that have gone through this and the people who had the financial crimes committed against them. So, and then you've got the county and possibly this being moved. So there's a lot of people at play here. And I know that you've, like you said, you've represented so many people in all of this. What does it mean for the victims' families emotionally, and just, you know, to be able to go through this all again?
They're going to be re-traumatized, just like Buster will be re-traumatized. There's been reporting that Buster is upset that there's going to be a new trial. He got married, had a child, and is trying to go on with his life. Same thing with the victims. They, a lot of put it into the wind, but a lot of them don't want to relive it. And unfortunately, depending on what is the next trial going to look like, some are going to have to participate again, and they're going to relive that trauma.
Yeah, I was listening to to the defense attorney, Dick Harpootlian, in some of his interviews after all of this happened. And he said, he was asked, what did your client make of all of this? And he actually didn't believe it. According to Harpootlian, he said, I just don't even believe that this is really going to happen. But then after a couple of hours, it's like, no, this is really going to happen. And then, you've got Buster, to your point, who has the older son who survived all of this, who wasn't there at the time of the murders, who apparently had a baby. A lot of people didn't know that, and he named his child after his dad, according to the defense attorney. So he's got that support. It's really going to be something to see. And just while I have you, has anybody talked to Becky Hill? I mean, what does she have to say? Do you know anything about where she's at today and what she has to say about all this?
Yeah. Well, obviously, she's somewhat of a pariah. She has not made a public statement. I'm very good friends with her attorney, and I know that, she's probably keeping a low profile. But I just want everybody to know, just because Alex is getting a new trial, he's not getting out of prison. The financial crimes which he pled guilty to, that we were instrumental with the SLED and the FBI getting him to plead guilty, he will be spending the rest of his life through his 90s in prison, irrespective if he's ever convicted of the murders of Maggie and Paul.
And joining us now, special guest on Investigation Nation, Creighton Waters, the lead prosecutor who helmed the state's high-profile case against Alec Murdaugh in the nationally televised 2023 murder trial. And he led the prosecution's push to convict Murdaugh using cell phone data. We had the dog kennel video of the cell phone evidence, financial motive arguments. Mr. Waters, thank you very much for being here.
It's good to be here.
Okay, so a big week. I just got to start with your reaction to when the conviction was overturned. I was in South Carolina at the Supreme Court in February when those arguments were happening. It was a packed courtroom, a lot of people invested in this case. Of course, you guys front and center. So what was your reaction to this?
Well, we were obviously very disappointed. We disagree with the court's decision, but, as I said before, I respect the court and respect the process. So you dust yourself off and you get back in the game, and that's what we plan to do.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about the financial crimes that he has been convicted of and how that could look different the second time around. And we hear it's not going to be kind of a rinse and repeat. It'll be restructured if this trial takes place. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the financial crimes evidence will play a smaller role this time around? At least that's what we're hearing.
Well, I mean, sure. Again, prosecutors, we have different guidelines in speaking to the media than defense attorneys, so I can't litigate the case, obviously, here today. The Supreme Court, of course, reversed on the conduct of Becky Hill, and they also recognized the viability of the financial crimes motive evidence. They just put some guardrails in place as to the extent of that. So, obviously, we'll look at the Supreme Court's guidance and modulate our case accordingly and present it in court.
What was the most important evidence that you presented at the first trial that you think that people should, a lot of people are kind of getting to know this case again with all of this, because for many it kind of went away, but this was a huge case in your county, in your state. What is the most important evidence that we're going to hear about going a second time around?
Well, again, defense attorneys can kind of litigate the case and the media, prosecutors can't. We had a 6-week trial. There were 75 witnesses, 556 exhibits. As you know, there was plenty of coverage. And so, it's not for me in this forum right now to say what is the most important evidence. Okay. We put forward a lot of evidence, and obviously we will do so again.
All right, let's talk about Becky Hill really quick, if you could. I mean, have you spoken to her after all of this went down? Becky Hill accused of speaking to jurors during the trial, putting her finger on the scale. Obviously, there's so much money, so much time, so much that went into this trial. I'm just wondering if you've had any conversations with her, or was there any watchdog that was in place that could have watched over what she was saying to jurors?
Well, no, I have not spoken to her since I examined her during the hearing. The argument that we made to the court, and ultimately Judge Toll, who interviewed or had an evidentiary hearing with all the jurors, found that, after 6 weeks of trial and 75 witnesses and 556 exhibits and Judge Newman and all of the evidence there, that a few untoward comments by the clerk did not carry the day. The Supreme Court saw it differently, and I understand understand that we expect a high standard from our court officials. You know, when you try a case and you do, you present evidence, you make arguments, a judge decides on those, and you expect to litigate those types of issues on appeal. You know, the one thing you don't count on is having the day be carried by the actions of the clerk, and that certainly was very frustrating for all of us.
Yeah. I've covered a lot of trials, and I've never heard about anything quite like this. And obviously, everybody's hoping it doesn't happen again. So let's talk about the second time around. Are you guys going to be asking, I know that you've been asked this, but if you could share with us about a possible change of venue and how to find an impartial juror with so many people in the state knowing about this case?
Well, it's not just the state, it's the nation.
Right.
And that's the world we live in now. This is the reality of, sort of the true crime phenomenon, the availability of 24-hour media coverage, all sorts of different media sources. And this is just the genie's out of the bottle. This is the world we live in now. And so we can't then say, well, the defendant just gets to get away with his crimes because what he did was allegedly sensational. So what we are going to depend on, and I think this is the world we live in now, is for citizens to do their duty and to put aside anything that they may have consumed in the media, whether from a book or a movie or a podcast, and base their decision only on the evidence in the courtroom and be fair both to the state and the defense. This is the world we live in now, and our citizens, jury duty is a high calling, and we're going to depend on our citizens to be fair and do just that.
It sure is. And really quick, before I let you go, is it June 24th? That's the next hearing?
Well, that remains to be seen, and we will reach out to the judge, fairly soon and get a status conference, and we will raise issues such as venue, such as trial date, and things like that. And the defense will have their own positions, and we'll see what the judge decides.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.